He says that he knows that some people are not excited that he is back, says that he threw a monkey wrench in their future plans and goals, which I was like, that's what I've been saying, but that he plans on finishing what he started, and that is main eventing WrestleMania. I am not going to go into my feelings on that because...
Why not?
Okay, well, I will say one thing. I've already made my stance clear that I don't think he needs to win the Royal Rumble, which we did see that moment between him and Cody backstage being like, oh, okay, wait, based on what you said out there, you would have to win the Royal Rumble. And Cody's just like, basically like, that's interesting because that's what he needs to do as well. I don't want that at all. But I was arguing with a couple people on Twitter yesterday about this because I said that I don't think that Punk needs to be main eventing Mania. But my main thing is like, I don't have any issue with him facing Seth Rollins at Mania. I have an issue with it being for the title. And
Yes.
I have an issue with deciding that Punk deserves or has to be main eventing WrestleMania in December. I have an issue with that because, like, if we said that last year, we wouldn't. Who would have main evented night one? If we decided that in December, it wouldn't have been the tag team titles.
It
So,
wouldn't.
like, that's the problem that I have. Like, if it makes the most sense come WrestleMania to have, if it is going to be Punk versus Seth in whatever capacity, for the title, not for the title, whatever, if that is the hottest story or one of them, then sure, I'll whatever. If that's going to main event night one, then that's fine. But I think everyone's saying that he deserves it or that it's like he has to have it over all of these other people. I think that's the part that's ridiculous because we're also in December, as I said. Like, so much is going to change between now and April. We don't even know who's going to win the Royal Rumble. We don't know what's going to happen in Elimination Chamber. We don't know how they're going to possibly try and set up Cody versus Roman part 2. Like, there's so many unanswered questions at this point. You can't be declaring this guy is automatically going to be in the main event 4 months before the show. Like, you can't do that.
Yeah. It's jumping the shark in a sense
Yeah.
to have CM Punk declaring him night 1, night 2, night 4 main eventer
Mm-hmm.
because he just got here. All right, he
Yes.
hasn't even sat down yet, taken off his jacket. He just started. He's not even in a feud with anyone. It's just off name alone that they want to see him in the main event because that's what he got screwed out of when he was here. I get that, and at some point he should, in his tenure here, I do believe he should main event a WrestleMania. Is it this year? I don't know. I don't want to say anything now because I don't know. I don't want to try to play predictor here.
Yeah.
I like how the product is, I want to be surprised right now. I don't want to be able to predict it right now. And we
Well,
haven't even got to the Royal Rumble.
and I feel like it's like what I've said. It feels like people want to completely abandon the way that Vince did things, and then when this is something that comes up, they jump right back into
Right
like
back.
how Vince would do things. And I'm like, so what do you want then? Like, I understand being used to the way that things were done because they were done for this, the same way for so long, so it's hard to
Mhm.
break that mindset. But then when you're saying you appreciate all the change and what Triple H is doing and this and this and that, and then you're then saying, well, I think this is what needs to be done, and it's like such a Vince move. Like, to me, that like, that's, like I said, it's taking steps backwards. Like, you
No,
can't beat
it's Stockholm syndrome. It's
it's
absolute Stockholm syndrome.
it's just ridiculous because it's like I said to one person who was arguing with me the most, and I was saying my main issue is that you can't be saying this 4 months in advance. Wrestling changes from week to week. And because people are like, well, Punk is so hot right now. Listen to the crowds. I'm like, he just returned like 3 weeks ago. Of course it's
Yeah.
going to. I'm not going to say that it's going to die down and it's going to be silent come Mania, but we can't say like, we don't know what direction they're going to take him in. We don't know if he's going to be a good guy, a bad guy. We don't know if he's going to be on Raw or SmackDown, because if he's on SmackDown, if he did go to SmackDown, he's not going to be facing Seth Rollins, like, unless he wins the Rumble. But then we have reason to believe that Cody could win the Rumble, or Sami Zayn, or Gunther. Like, there's so many of these things that could happen or couldn't happen. and yet you're already saying, well, Punk already has to main event night one.
Yeah,
Why?
it's the people who, I said it last episode, they lack the ability to think critically. And I can't help you if you don't want to go there.
I think it's mostly, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I think a lot of it are people who are like diehard CM Punk fans, but like diehard WWE CM Punk fans. Because
That's a
like,
cult in itself.
yeah, well, because I don't see a lot of like AEW people that are like watching WWE product now because Punk is back. But
No,
I
yeah,
it's a
they're
lot of
pissed.
those people, and like I understand you're trying to support your guy, but you also have to realize like I've been trying to say too, like the women should also have a chance of possibly main eventing night one. And then people are like, they're not a draw like CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. I'm like, but you don't know. Like you don't know the story yet. And I'm like, someone said I was being a feminist. Like that I was spewing like feminist BS. And I was like, but Becky versus Rhea, that could be a
That
banger and
shouldn't main
could.
event night one, and then you have Roman Cody main event night two. And
Well, and
that's
that's
the
what we're
I
saying. That's what we're saying right now, right? Because
what's
there
your
was an
issue with
argument
that?
last year for it to be Rhea versus Charlotte to main event, and people were pissed that it didn't,
They could
right?
have.
And like,
They really could have.
I know they made sure to be like, this was the main event, right? But like, again, that's the thing is like, you can't predict that because even on once it's here, once Mania is here, we're still arguing about what should main event and what shouldn't, and they couldn't
100%.
even decide. So it could end up being that a story between Becky and Rhea is better than a story between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. It feels like that can't be at all possible at this point, but that's because we haven't seen anything from Punk or Rollins yet. So it's like, I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but I think that people need to understand that there is a significant possibility that we don't see Punk main event Mania this year. I mean,
That's okay.
and that's fine. And I get why a main event is such a coveted spot, but I think that we're getting to a point in wrestling where there are I'll say in WWE, there are so many people that deserve to be the main event, and you can't have them all be the main event.
100%.
Otherwise, like we've said, like there would be a whole week of Mania just to make sure that these people could
Our
main
main
event.
event. Yeah.
And so it's like, I think we kind of need to think about Mania almost being a show of main events. And I feel like that's kind of more
It's a good
how
way
it
to put it.
feels,
Yeah.
because like,
It's a good way to put it.
and that's why, based on what we saw from Rhea and Charlotte, it did feel like that was a main event. And I mean, they had one of the best women's matches of 2023, arguably. So I don't think anyone looks down upon that match because it went on before the main event of night one. It's like
No.
no one's going to remember, oh, yeah, they didn't think about blah, blah, blah. It wasn't the main event. It's like that doesn't make it a worse match. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No.
So
Agreed.
all I'm saying is there's still time, guys. Wrestling changes, just like life.